Bring my water off my table, please.
Hello, all you beautiful people out there. I'm going to go have to help my dad. I'll be right back. Can you hear me? Sorry about that. Anyway, today's topic is, can you hear me? Somebody's in here, I don't know who. Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm just going to go on. Today's topic is, where did the young earth model come from? This is fairly new. Thank you, Nevermore. Sorry about that. I had to go help my dad. This is a fairly new model, no matter what Ken Ham says. Okay. So James Ussher was a 17th century Irish bishop. He was an Anglican bishop, though, in a see of Catholicism. So, anyway, just keep that in mind. Bishop Ussher was an Anglican bishop, and evangelicals say that anybody who isn't an evangelical is not a real Christian. So just keep that in mind. In 1925, American fundamentalists accepted Ussher's chronology. Now, exactly why would they accept Ussher's chronology when, according to them, he wasn't even a Christian? I am not saying he wasn't a Christian. Christian is a self-label. They say he's not a real Christian. So, moving on. This concludes that the beginning of time started the night before October 23rd, 4004 BCE. That's pretty specific. He began by adding up the 21 generations of the Old Testament, but he also needed to know the ages of each generation at which the next generation started. Luckily, the Bible provided this too. This genealogy apparently took him up to the first destruction of the temple, which was in 587 BCE, not 607 BCE. From non-Christian sources, so he used non-Christian sources too. First of all, according to the evangelicals, he's not even a Christian. For second, he used non-Christian sources, so why are they even using Bishop Ussher? Would be my question. From non-Christian sources, he got the precise dates of Nebuchadnezzar's reign and connected Greek events to the Julian calendar. Nebuchadnezzar died in 562 BCE. Adding this to the 3,442 years he calculated from the Old Testament, he got to 4004. Okay, so sounds pretty simple, right? not. And why isn't that the case? Well, young earthers must establish two facts that are difficult to establish at best and impossible at worst. That there are no gaps in the Bible chronology, and that the creative days were literally 24 hours. Neither can be demonstrated. For many reasons, these are hard to establish. Just a minute, guys. I'm going to mute myself for a minute. I think I'm going to mute myself. Okay. Yeah, me too, Lisa. For instance, there could be a gap of indeterminate time between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. Remember, Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Genesis 1:2 says, "And the earth was dark and void, and waters covered the face of the deep." So he creates heaven and earth on the first day in verse 1. But yet in verse 2, we've got this amorphous earth. So obviously there's an indeterminate time. It could have been a minute. It could have been a million years between God creating the heavens and the earth and God actually doing something with the earth. This is actually called the gap theory. And there's actually a lot of Christians will say during this gap is when Satan fell from heaven, which is an interesting story in and of itself. So don't have time to get into that today. There could also be long gaps between the 6 literal 24 hours. Now, creationists like Kent Hovind are going to say stuff like, well, how could the planet survive for 1 million years without the sun? How could they survive 24 hours without the sun? Would be my first comeback. Second comeback would be, I thought your God was all powerful. Can't he just make the plant survive? So, and I'm looking at this from a biblical perspective. And you guys know I don't trust the Bible whatsoever. But I'm using a biblical perspective here to lay out why the young earth is nonsense. There are also known gaps in the chronology. Matthew 1:8 says that Joram begat Uzziah, but 1 Chronicles 3:11 through 14 asserts that 3 generations separate them. So who are we supposed to believe? In Luke 3:35 to 36, it lists a missing generation in Genesis 11:20 to 24. Again, who are we supposed to believe? Thus, the closed chronology meaning that the young earthers are assuming that the Bible is including every generation in the listing of generations. A closed chronology is needed to support a young earth, and it is just not there, because we can see by the Bible's own admission that it is skipping. This is true, Lisa. By the Bible's own admission, it is skipping generations. So, just a minute. Okay. Yeah, and Kent Hovind even espouses stuff that Answers in Genesis won't touch. And that's pretty bad when Hovind is espousing stuff Answers in Genesis won't touch. So young earthers are also known as YECs, and YECs generally try to disprove evolution, to disprove long periods of time, like 4.6 billion years for the Earth. But the fact is, we don't need evolution to prove an old Earth. Geologists knew the Earth was old long before Darwin came on the scene with his revolutionary theory of evolution. They already knew that. They didn't know how old. They thought it may have been in the millions. But they didn't know how old, but they knew it was old. They knew it was at least in the millions, One proof is a rock called a conglomerate, a rock made of fragments of older rocks. Basically, different types of rock are buried deep enough for temperature and pressure to exert itself. And many conglomerates contain conglomerates. This means that not only does the rock have to be buried in enough sediment, buried deep into the earth enough to experience temperature and pressure, which takes a long time. But we also have conglomerates within conglomerates, which means this happened at least a second time, and maybe even more. So, totally not the Earth is definitely 6,000 years old. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so anyway, and the one thing is, the Bible itself doesn't say how old the Earth is. So why are they choosing this hill to die on? And why do they say evolution wants the Earth to be old when it's actually geology that tells us, and archaeology too. China, there was a Chinese civilization, sorry, 7,000 years ago. According to them, that's before the earth was even formed. So how do they get around that? You know? And they're also going to say such things as the Piltdown Man was a hoax. Yes, the Piltdown Man was a hoax. But guess what? The majority of scientists never, ever accepted Piltdown Man, first of all. And second of all, it was the scientists who disproved Piltdown Man, not creationists. Yes, Nevermore. That's what got him in trouble. Because, we're God's pinnacle of creation, and everything revolves around it. Everything revolves around us. So why shouldn't everything revolve around our home, which is Earth? Which is absolutely stupid. Yes, radiation decay also disproves Lisa, but they'll say stuff like, well, the flood changed all that. The flood changed the rates. That's what they're going to say. However, geologists do not use just one method to date the rocks. They use at least two separate methods. And in order for the rocks to date older, a bunch older, which the young earthers say they do because of this decay speed up or slow down or whatever it is. They say that that's why we get old dates from rocks. Except they conveniently forget that we use at least two methods to date each rock. This means that not only does one decay rate have to be changed, but the other decay rate has to be changed. And sometimes in opposite directions. So how do they explain that? So, it doesn't make sense that they want to choose the young earth hill to die on when not even the Bible itself says the earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old. Plus, I've already shown you, gaps in the Bible. Not that I believe the Bible is correct in any way, but even according to their own book, they cannot say the earth is young. So, and then of course we have the problem of, according to them, an Anglican bishop, which isn't even a Christian according to them, came up with the young earth model. So why are they even using it? That's my question. And another thing is they try to bring up kinds to disprove evolution. Well, actually, the kinds prove evolution. Even if we want to go with their ridiculous theory about kinds, their theory about kinds proves evolution, because they say there's, variation within kinds. And, they're saying, there's the horse kind. Well, what about the Heracitherium? Is that a horse kind, or is it a separate kind? And if the Heracitherium is a separate kind than the horse kind, and the Heracitherium is an ancestor to the horse, then obviously somewhere along the line, the ancestor to the horse changed kinds into the horse kind. So, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I need to cough, so I'm going to mute myself. And, I went to public school until I was in fourth grade. And from fourth grade till 8th grade, I went to 2 private schools, one doing 4th through 6th grade, the other 7th and 8th grade. And then 9th grade, I went back to public school because I chose to go back to public school. I was still drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah, nevermore. In fact, Kent Hovind did a thing on broccoli. And Apologia, in turn, I don't know where it is on his channel. He did it a while back. So, you're probably going to have to look back in his videos. You might be able to search broccoli on his channel, and you might find it that way. But broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, they are all the same species. Still, even to this day, they are the same species. They are just bred for different things. So, take that for what it's worth. And yeah, a natural banana would not be edible. Just so you know, a banana out in nature would not be edible. So, anyway, even according to the young earth creationists, who believe in a literal flood that was 4,000 years ago, somewhere around in there, in order for us to get all the species we have today from these quote-unquote kinds, there had to be hyperevolution. And when I mean hyperevolution, I mean like 300 or 400 species popping up every day. Hyperevolution, which is obviously a lot more than science even says. So their own theory, their own messed up, whatever you want to call it, involves evolution, even though they may not want to talk about it, even though they may not want to admit it. Their own bullshit, pardon my French, requires not just evolution, but hyperevolution, the kind of hyperevolution that science cannot support. So, yeah, you be the judge. You know, there's a lot of other stuff that disproves the young Earth. Tony Reed has a great series. It's called How Creationism Taught Me Real Science. He goes through all of these things. And I just wanted to give an overview. I just wanted to, give you why, and I don't blame Bishop Usher. Okay. I don't. He lived in the 1600s, for goodness sake. We have a lot more evidence and material now than the 1600s. But that just goes to show you how outdated this idea is. And for some reason, young Earth creationists think that old ideas are good ideas. I don't know why, but they think old ideas are good ideas. They think the oldest ideas are the best ideas. So take that for what it's worth. I may do more on this, except I've pretty much gotten the young Earth pretty much told you where the young Earth model came from, and how we know biblically that it is incorrect. And then I gave a bit of science about how it is incorrect. So, at any rate, I am going to go. I am so sorry about earlier. My dad was having some trouble, and I needed to go help him. Actually, nevermore. It's not as old as you think it is. It dates back to the Iron Age. Now, some of the stuff in it may be oral traditions that date back to the Bronze Age, but the writings themselves only date back to the Iron Age. So it's not as old as you think it is. And I will be doing a series on that. So, at any rate, I think that's it for today. I want to thank you for, sticking with me. Like I said, my dad had some problems and I had to go help him. So, but thank you very much. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys later. Stay beautiful and stay healthy, and wear your damn mask. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.